get a bottle of wine. $1.09, get a bottle of wine. $1.09, get a bottle of wine. And the bottle, yeah, all that I'm concerned about is a bottle. It can take me inside out the bottle. All I want is all I want is all I want is all I want. Since I'm living on the bottom bottle.
Welcome back to the Maya AKAI Show here on Smooth 90.5 FM HD Radio. Of course, you might be listening in via Sirius XM Radio, channel 432, and we're streaming live via Live 365 and iHeartRadio. Actually, all these links are on my Facebook page. If you just go there, you can click and get right to where you need to be. Of course, I would encourage you to go to the station website because you can watch and listen because, you know, radio never looks so good. So go to www.wgsjbcradio.com and you can click and listen and click and watch all in one place. If you'd like to join the conversation, don't be shy. Dial in 708-223-0030. Of course, you can always comment via Facebook. That's good too, at the Maya AKAI Show, Facebook and Twitter. And
I'm Nikki Braden on Facebook and Twitter.
There you go. Okay, so we're going to move into a new segment, Food for Thought. We're going to talk a bit about Charleston, wrap that up, but then we're going to talk about how do you feel about Happy Father's Day, Mom? We're not there yet, but there's a big campaign that was actually launched by a company kind of pushing this thought. Mm-hmm. And it has a lot of mixed emotions. When I posted the video on Facebook, people were like, what is this? And rightfully so. So it was about single moms. Sure. So Food for Thought, we're going to talk about those two topics. But first, we're going to wrap up Charleston. And our guest we just had on, who gave us like an insight because he's got family there. He's actually going there over the weekend. So I'm sure when he comes back into town, he'll be able to give us even more, you know, being at ground zero, unfortunately. What a sad place to have a wedding.
It is. It has to be abysmal.
Because that's going to be something that's going to be tied to the memory of your wedding.
Yes.
Forever. You know, and that's really unfortunate. His family member has to endure that. But I'm sure when Jason comes back, he'll be able to fill in and give us, because this story is going to unfold, because we have to learn more about who Dylan Roof actually is, and that's going to be the key thing. So we touched on a couple of things that I think are key, because a lot of conversations, we know that racism is obviously at the heart of this. It was instantly linked as being a hate crime.
Yes.
Roof actually alluded to the fact that, you know, it had something to do with black men raping white women. We don't know.
And we're taking over.
Right. We don't know what he meant in that context. But the sad part is he went to this church that he knew was historic, sat in there,
for almost
an hour, saw that these were good people, said he actually thought about not doing
it because he was like, everyone was being so nice to him. He almost thought about not doing it.
But then instead he still went through
it.
So obviously the Lord just could not sway his, you know, very twisted view of the world. But one of the things that Jason put his finger on that I think is key, that has to be part of the rhetoric in this country, is it isn't just about racism anymore. It is about people feeling disenfranchised and
not having a place.
And not having a place. Broken people do bad things.
Yes.
This is not a whole person who's not broken.
Hurt people. That's just
when it all comes down to it. And it's sad that around the country we're seeing things, everything from Sandy Hook to Columbine to Aurora to now Charleston to Baltimore.
Right.
This all equates to broken people. Mm-hmm. And if we can't step back at a country and say, if we are so great, why is it that our citizens are having acts like this? The fact that people want to defect and go to a terrorist group that they know is staunchly against the essence of what your country is, and they happen to not be people of color, what does that tell you?
Right.
That disenfranchisement does not stop outside the color lines.
It doesn't.
There is something really wrong in this country. And if we're going to keep playing it off like it's not going on, we're missing the big picture.
I don't know, as a country, I think we have this self-entitlement, so to speak, and we're hypocrites, kind of. If you think about it, we tell other nations how to behave, and we can't even control what's going on over here. And we don't like to talk about it. We don't like to really address it. We sweep it under the rug, and it just keeps happening in these tragic forms. And when will enough be enough for us to have the conversation and try to fix some of these broken people and these disenfranchised people and people who don't feel like they have a place, and they have to actually go and commit acts and this kind of thing, I don't know if it's for the attention or just to release what's building up inside of them, but this is really becoming a thing where the United States of America, we really need to look at each other and start trying to at least get to the bottom of what's going on and start healing. I think.
And before you could heal, you have to look in the mirror and say, here's what's really wrong. There has to be a certain amount of accountability.
Right.
Before you can move forward. If you're in denial until you begin to admit the error of what is going on, you can't move forward. So you're going to stay stagnant if you're not willing to, one, acknowledge and be accountable for what part of it you play. And here's what I kept hearing people say on different stations as we were driving in. It's about gun control. Let me tell you something, people. And I'm going to try to have on next week John Lott. And boy, is he an eye raiser because he's conservative, he's Republican, and he's white.
Okay.
But he's from the Criminology Center, and all they do is study data about gun violence and things of that nature. So his data is pretty pristine. Now, some of his viewpoints I don't agree with, but his data speaks to a lot of things. Here's the issue about gun control, people, that I need you to understand. The average crime that's committed with a gun is not by a legal gun owner. They don't have a FOI card.
No.
It's either an illegal weapon or they've taken the weapon from someone who was a legal owner that's in their household. So just because you tighten up the gun control laws and people want to be all over the NRA, guess what? It doesn't change that somebody who shouldn't have a weapon in their hand managed to acquire that weapon not the legal way. So by the way, tightening up gun control laws only takes it away from you and I, people who might want to be gun-carrying individuals who would make better decisions. So first, think about that. The second thing you need to think about is, and I know this is such a really simplistic thing to say, guns don't kill people.
People kill people.
So what you need to do is look at the person who's pulling the trigger and look at why they're pulling the trigger. Because when you lack empathy, when your life leads you down a path where you have no problem extinguishing another life, you need to step back and think about, why does that person feel that way? Because mental illness actually isn't just about being bipolar or schizophrenic. Often me, people who get mental health diagnoses, it has a lot to do with their path.
Yes.
They're maybe depressed, anxiety because maybe they were a victim of abuse. Maybe, they witnessed, well, now we have PTSD, which is very common. So they witnessed something, maybe they saw someone be shot, or maybe they're a veteran from war. Think about it. We send people off to war and ask them to kill people they don't know and expect them not to come back damaged. Anybody who has that's sentient is going to be damaged to have to take another life. Eventually, it will take its toll.
It has to. It affects you.
It affects you.
Really.
I mean, otherwise, go grab these people who don't care about killing people, and that's who you need to send out there. But eventually, I think that would affect them too, because warfare is a whole different dynamic. One that I don't understand. But from the people that I know who've been there,
I never understood.
I've taken in that it's something that messes with you on a whole nother level.
Sure.
So when we talk about mental health, it's an imperfect science, but it's expanded because the experience of so many individuals are leading them down a path where they're not mentally stable. And they may resort to alcoholism. They may become abusive. They may look for people who make them feel like they belong. And those people often tend to be the wrong people, black or white.
It's no color to it.
So we have some major issues here. And racism is just probably the foundation. But a lot of people feel disenfranchised, and it's got nothing to do with color. And you're starting to see their woes and their issues and their problems. And it all needs to be addressed. So for everybody who's talking about gun control,
that's
look,
not going to change it.
If he was going to kill these people, he was going to find a way, even if there wasn't a weapon in his hand. Because it's not about the choice or the means of extinguishing a life. It's the fact that you had the thought and you believed it was okay.
Right.
And that's what needs to be addressed.
It does.
The broken people, not the methods that they use to exhibit how broken they are.
Well, I don't know, but how do you stop it? Like, how do you? I mean, that's the issue. Like, how do you find broken people and know they're broken and prevent them? Because from what I'm hearing is that this guy, Dylan Roof, his roommate suspected that he's been planning this for a while, for like a few months. And so maybe let's just say, the roommate did say something, and the police questioned him. I mean, is that going to stop him from going? It wouldn't stop him.
No,
so
because
you can't stop somebody in that frame of mind.
Because ultimately,
no way.
Even if the police would have stopped him, questioned him, see, here's the difference: having a weapon is not illegal. Now, it would have only been a problem had he had a weapon that wasn't registered to him, which we don't know all the details.
Sure.
So, if he happened to have a weapon that wasn't registered to him, then that might be like, well, Why do you have this weapon? Where'd you get it from? It's illegal.
But still, you can't be arrested for that. So you got to let them go.
Well, having an illegal weapon, you can't.
I mean, if it's illegal.
But here's the thing: state laws are all different. Because, for instance, you can ride in Iowa with a loaded weapon.
Yes.
Well, now we have conceal and carry too. But I mean, it's like each actual state has different laws.
Yeah, because I think I don't want to say the wrong place, but I think I don't want to say the wrong place, but they can just walk down the street with a gun.
They do in Iowa. They can do that because I had that experience and it scared the living bejesus out of me.
They just
and it was nothing. It was just no motivation. He was actually in college. I'd worked at a hotel. I worked in housekeeping, and I was coming out of the room because he had requested something. And I was leaving it, and when I went to walk out, he was coming in, and he had his shotgun like just across his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I probably turned about 50 Shades of Grey. Seriously, it scared first of all, I'd actually never seen a live weapon, so I was like. And I think he saw.
Never seen a live weapon?
No, dude. I lived in the suburbs. I went to Catholic school. I never saw no guns. Guns weren't in my household. I'd never seen a weapon like that.
Really?
No. I'm sorry. Had you?
Yeah. My grandfather had a cabinet full.
See, no. Nobody in my family owned a weapon. So no.
Everybody was strapped in mine.
I take that back. I think the only weapon I ever saw was my aunt was a police officer.
Oh.
But outside of that, I'd never
they went
seen
hunting. I mean, they weren't killing people, but they were avid
No, no one went
hunters
hunting. No gun owners in my family. So outside of my aunt being a police officer. I had never seen, and actually that was after college when she came out of the military and became a police officer. So even then, I had finished college. I had never seen a weapon, and I had never seen a shotgun. So when he walked into the room, it scared me. I think he could tell. He's like, "Oh no, it's okay. I'm just coming back from hunting." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Your stuff's on the table. Gotta go." I mean, I was terrified because I don't particularly care for guns. I find them to be dangerous and they just bother me. But
I didn't even know that back then. Like that's when we were.
Yes, you could.
Like I didn't know that then.
But here's the thing. Like I said, I'm sure he was a hunter. He probably had a legal, the licensure you need. And understand, getting a gun, at least in Illinois, and this varies from state to state, isn't an easy task. You still have to do an application. They do a background check. They do all that kind of stuff to make sure you don't have a mental health history, yada, 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 before they issue you a license.
Right.
Now, even when people do get admitted for mental health, the police confiscate the weapons. And they're probably never going to get them back because, unfortunately, you've had a mental health admission.
Sure.
So, understand, they're not just handing out guns like candy at Walmart.
Right.
And people are talking about it in that framework. And I'm going to say this again. Even if you tighten
can buy
up
one
the
from
laws.
Walmart. You can't. I mean, it's not legal. You can go get one like candy from Walmart.
But I'm just saying, though, even if you change the gun laws, people will still illegally acquire. A person who means to do damage will get that weapon because...
Nice.
Look at it this way. The right to bear arms is in the Constitution. Now, understand, when the Founding Fathers wrote that, it was because they were in a war against their mother country. It was militias. They were a lot of things in a context that made sense back then, and now it's awful that it's in there. They can't carry guns in England, so hence they don't have the bobbies. Even the bobbies don't have guns. I think that's funny. That
I think the bobbies. I think even in Japan, like their laws is to have a gun but people are like, I would just rather not have one than to go through this. I mean,
they make it real rigorous.
I mean, you have to go through, and then they check your house every year, and if they come in and it's
rigorous.
loaded, they take it away. I'm like,
rigorous.
it's like 3 people in Japan have a gun, like 3, like something
it's,
weird like
it's
that.
Rigorous,
Yes,
it's absolutely rigorous. So it's the kind of thing where, it varies from state to state. But I'm going to say this again. It doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal. If a person has an ill thought, they're going to follow through. So we got to get to the heart of the matter, which isn't just the gun.
Right.
It's the person.
people.
We got to get back to what's broken here, and it's the people. And why do we have so many broken people in this country?
Right.
We know why. But the problem is, I say this all the time, but yet I have not said it since I've been here. Democracy and capitalism are in bed together, and it's the worst affair ever. Because they can't see eye to eye. They have different agendas. Democracy is about the people doing the right thing, and capitalism is all about me.
Yes.
So that little relationship they got going is always going to be at odds. So we're a democratic nation whose economy is driven by capitalism. The error is clear. It's plain and simple. So
That's never going to be right.
Money is power, and people want money to have power.
Right.
And they feel tons of people are expendable at this point. Hence, that's why we have issues with education. If you can't afford to have the good education, I guess you just don't get it. If you can't live on $8.75 an hour, too bad for you. When we know things aren't right.
Right.
We
if
know
you can't
things aren't
afford
right.
health care, then you
Too bad.
get sick and
Just
die.
be sick and die.
Yeah, sick and die.
So that sense of us caring about one another as a nation, as we did once upon a time,
We don't.
which was never quite right. There was always schisms when you talk about racism. But it's gotten progressively worse, and a lot of it has to do with wealth, power, a lot of that stuff. So until we get down to like the real conversation and we're going to be honest about why we have so many issues, the Dylan Roofs of the world will keep popping up. Gang violence will keep happening. Will keep on happening.
Yes.
Okay, so that wraps up that. Just think about it, chew on it, food for thought. When we come back after this break, we'll talk about Happy Father's Day, Mom. It's the Maya Kai Show with Nikki Braden. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's time to get busy.
Live from the smooth 90.5 FM HD studio. You are tuned into the Maya AKAI Show.
You have my undivided attention.
Streaming worldwide at Live